Thank you for joining me each week as we talk about COVID-19 and its impact on us here in Wake County. Today, we're focusing on how the virus has affected one of our most important things coming around this year, particularly in the past decade as well, and that is the census. Joining me today are Vice Chair Vickie Adamson, who serves as the chair of the Wake County's Complete Count Committee, which oversees the census outreach. We're also joined by Morrisville's Mayor TJ Cawley, a co-chair of the CCC. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
And thank you, Greg.
Absolutely. So, Vice Chair Adamson, we'll start with you. You've been involved in Wake County's 2020 census efforts since work began early last year, as you know, when the Board of Commissioners appointed you to lead the county's efforts. So, for people who may not know, can you explain briefly why the census is important?
Thanks, Greg. The census is extremely important to Wake County and all of our communities. A lot of people think of it as just a head count, but it's so much more. It determines how more than 675 billion, yes, that's billion with a B, in federal funding is distributed to states and communities. These funds are spent on schools, hospitals, roads, public works, and other vital programs. The number of seats each state gets in Congress is based on census results. North Carolina could get an extra seat this year. And it also determines how we as local leaders decide where to put critical services and programs in our communities.
That's right, Vice Chair. There's obviously a lot at stake here. And COVID-19 drove home some of those points especially, haven't they?
Yes, Greg, that's right. As we respond to the spread of the coronavirus in our community, it becomes even more important to have a complete count in the 2020 census. Here's why. It is thanks to past census data that we have the health infrastructure that is in place today. North Carolina receives billions of dollars in federal funding each year for programs like Medicaid, Medicare, child health insurance, and nutrition assistance. In addition, new healthcare facilities are opened using census data to place them where they will be most needed. The census count that we are taking right now will impact our community planning for the next 10 years. Census data will help us in the future as we work to recover from the impacts of this crisis and any other we may encounter over the next decade.
That's right, Vickie, and thank you. And that's why Wake County has mounted such a robust outreach effort to help spread the word about the importance of being counted. So, Mayor Cawley, could you tell us about your role and a little about what the Complete Count Committee does?
Sure thing. Thanks, Greg. Last year, Wake County formed our CCC, Complete Count Committee. We have members from local government, community organizations, international groups, faith-based organizations, and more. More than 100 people make up our CCC, and I'm proud to serve as co-chair of 3 subcommittees: housing, local government, and young children. We have subject matter experts who chair each of our CCC subcommittees, and my role is to bring information to and from the subcommittees to the larger CCC so we align and synergize rather than duplicating our efforts. Young children are historically undercounted, so it takes extra focused effort to reach them. Housing has apartments and multifamily, which is hard to reach and count. And our local government has some of the most effective citizen engagement frameworks in place to reach everyone. The role of co-chairs such as myself is to help all these pieces work together efficiently. Another really important point I would like to emphasize is that every single resident who lives in Wake County, both citizens and non-citizens alike, are to be counted. Everyone living in the household counts: grandparents, parents, and children. This is especially important in Wake County, where we have so many multi-generational households. So an accurate census count is important to me, especially in these challenging times, because I know that in order for Wake County to continue to be great and have the resources necessary to provide a safe, healthy, we are the healthiest capital county in the nation, and thriving region, we need resources from the state and federal government to supplement our direct revenues. As Vice Chair Adamson noted, we need a complete census to fund emergency services, schools, hospitals, roads, public works, and other vital programs such as Medicaid, Medicare, child health insurance, and nutrition assistance. We do not know which challenges we will face in the next 10 years, but having an accurate count today will help us have the resources to address them in a meaningful way. We are a compassionate county, as has been demonstrated these past few months with the widespread volunteer efforts to help those in need, from free mask giveaways and school supply drives here in Morrisville to free meals for children throughout the county, and the many other efforts, both large and small, we are each doing that we can for others.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and especially for emphasizing not only your leadership and the good work that you are helping to coordinate with Vice Chair Adamson, but also the fact that there are so many involved in this effort. And I also appreciate you highlighting why it's so crucial that we have a complete count and the multitude of ways that count of Wake County citizens impacts all of us future funding-wise, service-wise, down the road. So Vice Chair Adamson, we touched on this briefly earlier. Like everything these days, even the 2020 census has been impacted by COVID-19. Can you talk to us a little bit about how Wake County's efforts have been affected by the virus?
That's right, Greg. Initially, our outreach efforts revolved heavily around in-person events. We had planned to have a presence at festivals, community gatherings, organization meetings, and more. Our volunteers set up displays at our county libraries, which were also to serve as sites where people could complete the census. Talking to people 101 is always the best way to share the importance of the census. And obviously, COVID-19 got in the way of that. Once the stay-at-home order went into effect, we had to take more of our work online. That means pushing out content on social media, doing paid advertising on some platforms. This is great, especially since the first year you can respond to the census online. But what we're finding is we're still having a hard time reaching people who may not have regular internet access.
That's right. And Vice Chair Adams, so to answer that challenge, you're coming up with some creative ways to get the word out. Mayor Cawley, can you tell us about what some of those efforts are?
Sure thing, happy to. Some of the things we're doing include collaborating with our partners on census parades, chalk art on sidewalks and flyers in barbershops and hair salons. We're also working with Wake County Public School System to include information at food distribution sites. I have lost count of how many census bookmarks I have given out with the meals we provide Monday through Saturday at noon in Morrisville. We have numerous social media campaigns running across all platforms, generally centered on existing Wake County government channels. You're going to see lots of lawn signs popping up throughout the county in multiple languages. We have English, Spanish, and Hindi here in Morrisville, and we're moving those around based on where people may be. We have a number of census thermometers in Morrisville on our well-traveled roadways, and that's tracking our progress towards 100% participation. And we encourage our residents to complete their census every chance we get, at our farmers market, at our food distribution sites, and even at Morrisville event this past week, where we changed our town name to Morrisville to celebrate National S'mores Day. When we give out our free face coverings such as this one, we ask, have you completed your census? We're also continuing to partner with our local organizations to help spread the word, especially in our international and faith-based communities.
Thanks so much, Mayor. Those are great ways to reach people during this challenging time. So I also understand there are several census challenges taking place, including one issued by our own county manager. Isn't that right, Vice Chair?
That's correct. County Manager Ellis issued a challenge to the county manager of Mecklenburg County to see which county could get the highest response rate. And so far, we're 5% ahead, but we don't want to let them close in on us. If Mecklenburg wins, David will send over a signed Carolina Hurricanes jersey. We're still waiting on a response from Meck, but we're not expecting that jersey to go anywhere.
No, we're not. Now, as of this date, Wake County is indeed pulling in more responses than Mecklenburg County. So let's keep that up. But let's shift back to the effects of COVID-19. Vice Chair Adamson, how has the U.S. Census Bureau been impacted by the virus?
The Census Bureau had to adjust its schedule to account for the COVID-19 impact. The self-response period was extended from July 31 to October 31. However, it was recently announced that the deadline is being pushed up to September 30th. This month, the census takers will start doing door-to-door to the homes of those who have not responded. So it's critical that if you want to avoid the knock, you need to go ahead and respond to the census on your own.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vickie. And Mayor Cawley, we've heard and we know that for the first time ever, people can respond to the census online. So, but we also know there are other ways to participate. Can you tell us about those?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Like you said, you can respond online at 2020census.gov. You can also call a toll-free number, which is available in numerous languages. The English language number is 844-330-2020. Or you can simply mail back the paper form that was sent out a few months ago. All of this information is available at 2020census.gov.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. So again, that's 2020census.gov. Now is the time to respond to the census so you can avoid that knock on your door from the census taker. Just to recap, the census is extremely important for funding, representation, and community programs and services. Once again, I want to thank you both, Vice Chair Adamson and Mayor Cawley. I encourage everyone watching to respond to the census today so that we can make sure that Wake counts in 2020 and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care, y'all.